Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Is everyone getting ready for cocktails about this time? Okay, good. Hey, first of all, let me say congratulations, because you've been here for a while, but I know that you've been listening to a lot of business news, but I thought maybe we should take a moment just to say the reason that you're here is because you're very successful at what you do. You work incredibly hard in very complex situations, so you should be really proud of the fact that you're at this event today, not just celebrating business, but actually to learn something new, and that's my job. So I'm here to talk to you today about a topic that is very near and dear to me, and that's the topic of killing complexity. Now, just by show of hands, how many people here would love to have a little less complexity at work and in their lives? Okay, so everybody, basically. So what's really interesting about this topic is that it's something that is available to us all. And when I was actually talking with the leadership here at Coke, saying, how do I prepare for this talk? The first question I asked them was, why this topic? And the answer that I got was, you have very audacious goals. They are increasingly difficult every year, and they're harder and harder to make. So we need to better support the leaders so they can make them. You know, it's interesting because there are a lot of organizations right now that are starting to build in subtraction. And one of my favorite, we work with Sanofi in France. So they're a large pharmaceutical company for the people that are familiar. And they're highly regulated. They have a very complex organization, right? Medicines have to work. We have to go by the regulations and the rules. They can't kill people. And so they are very conservative in terms of how they act. However, they need speed. And so one of the things that they have built into all their strategic planning is a process called Stop It. This is brilliant. You have to do this too. Every time they have strategic planning, everyone, you know how your teams do this? They present all the things they're going to do next year, and you know it's literally impossible for them to achieve all the things that they're presenting to you. What Sanofi does is they actually have people, it's mandated, that they have to present what they are going to stop doing as well. And what's brilliant about that is they get permission to stop doing things, and then the leaders, they take care of the excuses of what people are going to tell them later why they couldn't achieve their goals. So subtraction should be built into the culture. I think it's time for us to be less dependent on the clock and build in more for the compass. And this is really around people here. You spend a lot of time, right, leading. At least that's what you think you do, but I don't think you do it all. And here's why. When I ask you, when you go home at night, if someone asked you, hey, what did you do today? How would you explain it to them? I bet the first thing that pops into your head is your Outlook calendar. And you start running down from the top of the day to the end of the day, everything you did chronologically. We are not leading. At best, we are managing. And frankly, I think a lot of people here are executing their calendars. You get through your day by getting through your calendar. That is reacting. That's what complexity does. But simplicity lets you be on the proactive side of things. So you use your time with intention. I want us to be able to use our time with intention so we're not so calendar-driven, but we are compass-driven, because that's how you reach your goals. I think, and this is where it's really going to get fun, we have to build in more time for thinking. Just by show of hands here, how many people would love to have more time to think during the day? Everyone would love to have more time to think during the day. It's exhausting to constantly react to everything that's urgent, isn't it? But what's so interesting is we always say that we value thinking, but I think thinking is a daring act in most companies. I think we value doing, not thinking, and we have to have more balance. Here's why. Think about this. If you walked into someone's office, and I don't know if you are all back in the office or virtual, I'm not sure, but let's assume that you're at least hybrid right now. Remember, you'd walk into someone's office, and you needed to ask Pablo a question. And you walk in the office, and there's Pablo staring out the window. And you say, Pablo, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And Pablo said, that's okay, it's fine. I was just sitting here thinking. What's the first thing you think about Pablo? Pablo's kind of lazy. Pablo doesn't have too much to do, does he? I wish I could sit around like Pablo all day. But the problem is, we say we want thinking time, but then we know it's not valued. And that's why, how many people here have had to sneak a fake meeting on their calendar just to think? Or gets everybody has, come on. Everyone sneaks in some kind of BS meeting on their calendar just to protect their time. This is changing. And I know I do this, and we do this at pockets of Accenture that we work with too. I'm based in New York City, by the way, so these are all companies that we work with there. And we build in time for deep work. We mandate thinking time. Everyone in my organization and the people we work with at Accenture, they have to designate a half day of work during the week. You can make it any day you want. For me, it's Friday morning. For other people, randomly, it's Tuesday afternoon at my company. Why? I have no idea, but that's when they want it. And what that says to them as a boss is I'm saying, I expect you, in fact, I am mandating that you spend time for thinking. Right? It's, oh, don't be scared, don't sneak it on the calendar. You have to have time to think. So if you give people time to think, you're going to have more time for innovation and meaningful work. Okay, so that is important, time for thinking. But here's the last piece, performative culture. I have a lot to say about culture, and I don't have enough time. I think that one of the hardest things about being a leader is all the things that you have to solve for others. You gotta be human, you gotta be a human-centered leader, right? We gotta be a growth leader. We gotta have culture, and we've gotta give wellness benefits. And we've got to give other benefits, but you got to reach your goal. It's a lot. I would say this. I think we are spending too much time on performance culture. Free coffee at work, that's amazing. Great colored brainstorming rooms, chairs shaped like hands, bring your dog to work. All that is fantastic, but if that's all it took, Google would have a 100% retention rate, and they don't. You know why? Culture is the work you do every day. That's it. Culture is the work you do every day. When people go home and someone says, what did you do today? And they say, meetings and emails, that is your culture. If they go home and they say, I met with this incredible bottler, I went to this incredible conference, I talked to a customer, that's your culture. Culture is the work we do every day. And that's what we want to be able to do. There's a joke actually at Bloomberg, and we work with them in New York. You know, they gave people lots of perks, and you should. I mean, we've got to really focus on things like wellness and burnout, et cetera. But they gave people yoga perks and wellness rooms. And you know what? No one ever uses the wellness rooms. Do you know why? They're full of people taking conference calls because the open floor plan they have, no one can get anything done. Culture is the work and the structure we have every single day. How can we make it so people use the benefits that they have because they have the time to do it and they matter? So how could you start to do these simplicity sprints with your team? Another one that you might be familiar with, and I love this, and this is the response I always get when I'm prepping with large multinationals like Coke, is, yeah, but we're big. And I say, you're right. Guess what? Other people that are huge are doing simplicity too, because you know why? They got to move faster. And I heard the interview here before, and the theme I heard was speed. You got to move faster. Guess what simplicity does? It takes away the friction. And what was really cool at AT&T, they too had their lowest customer engagements ever. And so what they did is they started something called Project Raindrop. And Project Raindrop was a small drop can start a storm. And it was driven by IT, which was pretty shocking. It's usually driven by strategy. They opened up their intranet and said, anybody that has a suggestion for what we could change, let us know. And even better, tell us what you did. They became literally overwhelmed with the response, flooded with thousands and thousands and thousands of ideas. And collectively, here's what happened in less than a year. They got back 38,000 hours just by people not having to submit expense reports for things like retirement parties. They killed over 1 million emails that they used to send out to drivers confirming customer service appointments. They improved their response times to customers by 97% by getting rid of a couple clicks in their online process. And in that year, they saved $200 million and gave back 3 million hours to their employees. That's 20 hours a week to every employee, 110,000 employees at the company. That's huge. Complexity is a choice, but so is simplicity. And so which one are you going to choose when you leave here? And I hope for your teams, and I certainly hope for yourself, that you're going to choose simplicity so you can unlock all the transformation that's already within your team and frankly, the incredible potential within yourself. Thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.